All right, and welcome to Wednesday's Demand Channels podcast. This is where we get together and talk for about 15 minutes about quick wins that hotels can use in their marketing to get a direct connection to your highest value guest. And whenever you have a dip in your forecast, for example, you have a connection so you can create action. That's what it's all about. As always, I'm here with Philippe Chavez from Guest Centric.
How are you, Jeremiah?
I'm doing great. And today we're talking about a really fun subject. I'm looking forward to getting your input. This is a new development that's happened with Instagram where the hashtags are all linked together so that all of the tags that people have put on their pictures of a hotel all get grouped together in one place. So I'm going to share my screen a little bit, and I'm going to show everybody a little bit more about what this is, and then we'll talk about how we can use it. Okay, so this just came out, and I'll put this link in the sidebar that you can now use a hashtag in your profile, or you can use the @ and it will link from your profile to another profile on Instagram. So this is really useful if your hotel is in a soft brand or something like that, and you want to share the experiences that everybody's had across the brand. So this creates a nice flow for people to discover your hotel. I'm going to show you an example here. This is the Gaslamp Plaza Suites downtown here in San Diego. And I just love these because they're so natural. I mean, these are candid moments that people have picked up, and you couldn't get something like this professionally. It's too honest. So I love this, and I'd love to hear your take on this, folks.
I think so. We have discussed this previously, and I really believe that social media, it's really important to bring user-generated content to the website. So it's not an old concept, but I think the tools are so easy to use that it's much easier just to bring user-generated content into the website. So if you don't have an area where you first of all, if you don't have an Instagram, I think as an hotel you should have an Instagram, and then you should actually place that Instagram in your website, maybe at the lower section. And then why not using this latest feature from Instagram that allows you to bring hashtags into your profile, right? So I'm actually it's not just about the content that I'm generating around the hotel. I'm actually bringing the content generated by third parties, by guests in this specific case, and I'll bring them to my feed. And I think that's really powerful because I can actually bring the story that I want to tell into Instagram or into the hotel website. It's really interesting that on Instagram people naturally don't share kind of ugly things, right? They normally, because it's their profile, they share like nice moments. It's kind of like it's a tool that has kind of like a nice connotation. Do you understand? So naturally, people don't I don't know. Let's say don't place an ugly bathroom in Instagram. So most probably they'll only if it's a great bathroom, maybe they'll post a great bathroom, and that's really good for you, right? So you are actually tapping into a nice a place where people say nice things, okay? And that obviously will help you a little bit, so you don't really need to curate your profile. One of the tricks that we are trying to do here is like, okay, how can we increase the time that people stay at our website? We know that this is, especially the direct booking problem, it's a statistics game, and the more you have people staying at your website, the chances you have of getting a direct booking, right? It's kind of like mathematical. There's also something that I really believe it's important. I think the paradigm of search is changing, and I think hashtags are kind of like playing. They are important on this change, right? So actually, obviously, Instagram has kind of like a big force on this, but I believe YouTube and even Google, right, with the search engine, they are picking up on hashtags, right, because they are kind of like they are kind of like anchors to describe a specific place, okay? And I think that's kind of like why I think it's important, and why do I think hotels should adapt and review their strategy around Instagram. Obviously, if you want to be a little bit more scientific, you should look also at Google Analytics and try to understand what how many bookings do these pages drive. Do you understand? So try to add some science behind the direct bookings. It's actually great, right? Because it kind of like it will show the path. And I think Jeremiah is kind of like showing images, and we can actually see great images. I would love to have them on my website, right? So
Wow.
the website or Instagram, it's a great source for imagery. I remember a couple of years ago, actually. So I was at Old Food Markets. Obviously, I don't know, everything is super nice and beautiful, and I was taking, and I took a picture, and actually it's on my Instagram profile, of beautiful, colorful cauliflowers, and I took that image and I just posted. 5 minutes after, someone, obviously from Whole Foods, just sent me a message. Hey, great
Right.
pic! Thank you so much. Great picture. Can we use that image for our marketing? And I was like, oh, sure, go ahead. You
Well,
understand? So that's the point. That's the point that we are trying to get. Yeah.
and that's a good point, because they were able to see your picture because you used the hashtag, right? So now shifting gears a little bit, what do you think about using, putting a sign at the check-in desk or in the rooms that says, "Hey, use this hashtag and share your best view from the roof," or use this hashtag for this event that's happening downtown, or if it's themed for a wedding or if it's themed for a conference. What do you think about that in terms of a marketing approach?
I believe that could be a great approach, just to try to push people into generating more content. And actually, I believe it could be really interesting to create kind of like a little competition, like who gets the best picture will get a night for free. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And those are, if you're running an hotel, you know that if you control it, it's like the cost, it could be minimal. So if it's the right time of the year, you can actually have nights for free to give away. Mm-hmm. And if you transform, you can create some viral type of competition that you actually are using guests to push your content. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I think we've touched also, and we briefly talked about this, is that user-generated content, it's great, so people actually learn about what's going on at your hotel. Mm-hmm. So, and we were talking a little bit about, okay, do you, and I always talk about this, right? So if you have a great hotel with a great bar, with a great lobby, maybe you want to bring more people in, right? So if you have people sharing those moments, those experiences, that could be a good way to drive people into your hotel. Mm-hmm. And we've talked and we've talked several times, and I believe that should be part of a new podcast altogether. But how can we bring the local people into your hotel? And there's a lot of hotels who are kind of like using this strategy, this approach. If you look at bigger chains like Accor, Ace Hotels, they are using this and they are kind of like established brands, very focused on trying to bring the community together, the neighbor, trying to create the neighbor. And I think social media would be a very successful way to do that, right? Because if I invite, I don't know, people who are in San Diego working to my lobby just to work from I think Starbucks did a little bit of that, right? So they want to drive people, even if you are not consuming anything, you can just sit on a Starbucks and work from there. And I think it's the same concept, but at an hotel level.
Yeah, and I just want to back up for a second because you were touching on events, putting on events, right, and creating that community space. When we talk about events, we're also talking about group sales, right? So the problem for so many hotel salespeople is they're not able to show a meeting planner exactly what their event is going to look like. They don't have pictures for small events, for medium events, for large events. And this could be an answer. If you've just, if you've organized your events around a hashtag, it's very easy for you to pull those pictures and say, hey, yes, this is what it looks like when we set up the buffet over there. This is what it looks like when we set up outside. And you can use that to really give that social credibility that will help the meeting planner see exactly what their event is going to be like.
I think you are totally right, and especially now with all these tools, right? The smartphones are so powerful that even with low light, with very limited, without any equipment, you can really create very interesting images, kind of supernatural, right? And in order to get those natural images, like in order to produce those images, it's super complex and expensive, right? So just bringing someone just to create a production for a specific event, obviously it's super expensive and no one is going to invest that money. But if you're on an event, just start asking or ask actually the meeting planners to help you, and maybe they have assistants. I don't know. Everyone should actually do something that will help the hotel. And I think that's a great point.
Yeah, and everybody that I've ever reached out to on Instagram for clients and said, hey, can we use this on our hotel website? They've always just said, sure, go ahead. Or if that's, if the legal element is big, you can also just put an iframe. And really that's a way to share that content without actually taking ownership of it. So are there any last words, easy ways to get started doing this that you would like to talk about?
I believe the first point is obviously you need an Instagram account. And I've seen many hotels who are not there yet. I think a good tip could be like involve your employees, right? Involve the front desk, because everyone has a smartphone. And if you can involve like a task group, it's fun. You understand? It's a little bit a side project, but it's actually super beneficial. And so it should not be that horrible task. Oh no, I need to post on Instagram. It needs to be natural, right? So you should bring your team. You should maybe do a task force or kind of like different groups in different areas or different groups in different times, and try to come up with a concept that will work. And then try to come up with an idea of doing some kind of competition if you have a nice view, if you understand. So try to take advantage. Like get a free night, or the best night will get a free night. Everyone will take a picture. Look, let me try, right? So it's like costs, it's zero, right? There's no effort whatsoever.
And it's fun for guests.
Sure, actually, yeah. So it's actually fun. In a resort, you can even play with different types of things, right? You can give, I don't know, some kind of a reference thing to your hotel and give to guests so they can play with it, and you understand. So there's so many concepts out there. You need to be creative just to try to engage your community and your guests, and I think that's the key. Obviously, again, we want to make sure we don't spend a ton of cycles without not seeing results. So we want to turn this into, in order to turn this into a little bit scientific way, we want to make sure we create some pages who are kind of oriented to this user-generated content at the website level, and maybe do some goals, you understand, to see the traction and to see the conversion ratios of that page. Okay, so super simple. Create Instagram on your website, on your whatever on your
with an iframe, or you're talking about an Instagram account?
No, create an Instagram account, obviously. Then talk with your web developer, and there's a ton of Instagram feeds. So there's for the technical guys, obviously they know that there's an API that allows you just to create kind of a collage of your Instagram pictures, okay, on your website directly. So WordPress, ourselves. So there's a ton of plugins to do that. So you should use that. Obviously, on Instagram, you should add now that that's possible. You should add your hashtag, okay? So you can actually start looking, not just publish or showing your pictures, but actually the pictures that other people show about your property. And so I think that's kind of like the core and the basics. And then, okay, maybe you should go and try to do some kind of a goal setting on Google Analytics to see how many leads are you generating from that, how long do people stay there, you understand? Just to try to be a little bit more scientific to see where should you go, and then obviously your imagination is the limit, right? Because social media, it could be huge.
Well, I think this is a great way to engage the community, to get people really advocating for you, showing other people their fun time, and people will trust that a lot more than direct advertising in many cases.
Sure.
So if people want to talk more about this with you, how can they get in touch with you?
So you can always email me at Philippe, so Philippe @guestcentric.com. And I'm willing to help you and spend some time with you, just showing what we have done and what we haven't done. That could be interesting for your hotel. And that's it. So obviously you can send also some comments through the podcast system, and we are here to help you.
Exactly. Well, great, guys. What do you think? Please leave your comments below to tell us how you use Instagram to market your hotel. And we will see you next Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. Until then, thanks so much, Philippe.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.